Hello and welcome to our presentations. This is Muhammad Ahmed Zaki, project senior project director, as well. I'm a PMP online PMP coach. So basically today we're going to be looking on to the Chapter 11 project procurement management that will help you to pass your PMP examinations as well to practically apply the project procurement and undefined and types of contracts. So basically what we're going to be looking throughout this chapter, uh, defining the project procurement management as a definition, the project, all the phases are included that are included in procurement, the rule of a procurement management, and we will define the difference between buyer and sellers. As well, we're going to give you hints on how to answer the procurement questions. As well, what is the rule of a project management in the procurement process if we're looking on a centralized or a decentralized organization. Types of contract environments. So what are the types of contracts, whether looking for a fixed price or a time and material or cost reimbursable contracts. Procurement process groups, and identifying the procurement management plan. As well, we're going to be looking for the statement of work that's used in procurement, as well identifying the types of procurement state of work, as well the types of contracts as we stated, and which is the best one to select at which, according to the scene of the market, trades of between contract from the buyer points of view, contract types, advantages and disadvantages, the risks on the contractors, contract terms, identifying the source selections as well, how to select the sellers. And we're going to be looking on the procurement statement of work, identifying the types of procurement statement of work, and how to select the best contract type. Agile contracts, how do we use contracts during the agile? Trade-off between contracts from buyer's point of views, contract types, advantage and disadvantage, okay, the risks on contractors, contract terms, and the source selection. Again, we're going to be looking on to the categories of terms and conditions that makes a special provision, as well, what are the types of the non-competitive forms of procurement, identifying ways of selecting the seller proposals, how to select the best, how to perform weighting for the seller, identifying the different methods of negotiation, how to negotiate, right, under the contract, main items that should be negotiating during the contracts, what are the important items to negotiate under the contract, purpose of the contract. As well, we're going to see an example on how to fill practically, how to fill a procurement document, and how to tackle the PMP questions. So let's start with the project procurement management as a definition. So it includes all the processes in order to purchase or acquire a product or a service or results needed from an outside of the project teams to perform the work. So we're looking on procurement as the word procure. So procure, it means that you're obtaining, you're purchasing, right? You're acquiring. So acquiring what? Either a product or a service, a product that's a tangible product, could be a service, a software, right? A result, a research of work. So I have procured that I have a consultant and who's going to perform research. So there's a contract between me as a vendor with the client who I'm going to perform a research to them, right? In order to, from the outside of the project team, to perform the work. So again, it is being considered a procurement as being a strategical operations, right, in which it streamlines the business organization goals of purchasing or procuring, right, the product, service, or results in order to achieve the business objectives at a reduced time, at a reduced cost, at an increased profitability, and achieving the business objectives. That is, customer satisfaction comes at later. So the project and procurement management includes contract management, change control process. So you have the contract management, you have a change control process. So those are the constitutes of a project procurement management, required administer contract. So when we come into the part of the planning, right, you need to perform administering of the contract, purchase the orders, right, and by authorized project team members. So project procurement management, it is how to administer the contract. It means how to keep a safeguard for your contract, right? That is being issued to the buyer and outside the position of the buyer that is acquiring the project from the preferred organization, which is the seller. So in other words, we're looking on, it's a deal in between a buyer and a seller. So a buyer who is the customer, seller is the vendor. So there must be a binding contract in between them so that to reserve the rights of each of those two members. So when we look onto the processes that is performed, right, so we have plan procurement, it happens in the planning. Conduct procurement, it happens in the execution. Administer the procurement, it happens into the monitor control. And closing the procurement happens into the closing process group. So procurement as a definition, it is the formal process in which many organizations to obtain goods and services and the results. And there must be a procurement department, right? So the procurement department, it is going to be the department that handles and controls the procurement of the most of the companies, to include the procurement, the contracting, the purchase, and the legal department. So there must be a unit who controls all of that, the purchasing, the deals in between the buyer and the seller, so that we call it a procurement department. So we may have at a time throughout the project, we might make a decision. Either I should make, build, customize and a product applications, or I buy direct ready-made applications. So it is being the project being planned, the work is being analyzed, okay, to determine the internal resources that can do everything, or whether to purchase directly. So I need to evaluate whether I have the capabilities and I have the resources, right, in order to produce the product or the service, or I prefer to go ahead and purchase because I don't have the time for customizing or tailoring solutions, right? So it's preferred that I go and purchase the product directly from already made products. So once you perform a decision whether I'm going to make, produce, or I'm going to procure, so the project manager, he will be facilitating of building a plan for how the procurement process will proceed. So there will be a plan on how that we're going to proceed with the procurement. So a procurement management plan. So there's a plan that has to be filled, it's known as a procurement management plan. And that will have a description of all the work to be done by the seller, right? And that is the statement of work. So the statement of work will be provided from the client side, saying what items he needs to purchase, what does he need to us to do for him, right? And whether to customize an application for him, or he needs to directly purchase a ready-made product from our site. So there will be a plan, right, of whether we're going to customize, okay, or we're going to be taking a ready-made application, which will require to perform a gap analysis between the current environment of the buyer and what we is the product we're offering, and we show the gap analysis in between them and what are the benefits to be returned from services onto the product. So the procurement management, right, it determines what type of contracts and procurement documents it should be used. So the most common procurement, we might have what we call RFP, request for proposal, and then each vendor will require to submit a technical proposal and a financial proposal, invitation for bid, in which we're going to have a group of vendors at the same room, and everyone is going to explain the technical proposal, and then on a private room, they're going to discuss the financial proposals. Or we might have what we call a direct purchase order, right? And that is a direct purchase order. It has a certain margin of a budget that is being assigned, right, and to the vendor to perform a certain work under the contract, or require request for a quotation if we're purchasing or billing items. This is the basics of procurement management. Now, if you will take the course, we're going to be going deeper, right? By the way, we're giving the course in Arabic, right? And I'm giving it as well in English, right? And once you join us, we're going to give you the procurement and the whole cycles of the PMP, the 15 chapters to pass you the PMP exam, and as well to practically apply it in your business industry. Thank you very much for your time. This has been a pleasure. Muhammad Ahmed Zaki, PMO Director and Consultant. Thank you very much.